Before we start, just a quick reminder to hit that subscribe button. Only 2% are subscribed at 1,000 subscribers. I'll be posting a special video. I shove my key in the lock and hear a giggle. My name is Maya, I am 25 and tired. The door sticks a second, then swings open too easy. Another laugh floats from down the hall, low and breathy. I freeze in the doorway, one shoe half off my heel. You know that second when your brain lags behind reality. My first thought is stupid, maybe he left the TV on. Then I hear a soft moan and every hair on me spikes. Babe, I call out, my voice comes out too bright. No answer, just the creak of our bed and a muffled sound. My hand finds the wall and stays there like glue. I already know something is wrong, I still move forward. The hallway feels shorter than usual, like it shrank overnight. Each step lands heavy, slow, louder than it should in that silence. I reach our bedroom door and see it half open, slightly crooked. Someone inside laughs again, and this time it is not me. I push the door with 2 fingers, almost hoping it sticks. It swings wide and there he is, my boyfriend on top of her. Their bodies tangle on our sheets, his back slick with sweat. Her head turns, eyes lock on mine, and she shrieks. For a second everything stops, like the whole room holds breath. My brain snaps a screenshot and I hate that phrase now. His hand grips the headboard, her nails dig into his arm. Then they scramble apart and the spell cracks loud inside me. He jerks back and slides off the bed, feet hitting the floor. She yanks the blanket up to her chest and curls away. I am still in the doorway with my bag on my shoulder. My mouth is open and nothing useful comes out. Maya, his voice cracks on my name like he swallowed sand. He reaches for his shorts, almost trips, curses under his breath. I step back once and he stops like there is an invisible line. That one tiny step feels bigger than any fight we ever had. I thought you said she knew, the girl blurts it, eyes wide. Her words slice through the buzzing in my ears, sharp and fast. I snap my head toward her because that sentence changes everything. Knew what exactly? Because I sure missed that memo somehow. He drags a hand through his hair and stares at the floor. I can explain, just let me explain for 1 minute. I laugh once, this weird broken sound that does not feel mine. Later I will hate myself for still letting him talk. What is this? My voice comes out flat, not even loud. Not yelling, not crying, just that dead-level tone of shock. He flinches harder at that than he would at a scream. He steps closer, bare chest rising fast, eyes locked on me. It was supposed to be a surprise for you. He says it like he is offering flowers, not another person. For your birthday, you know, something different, something exciting. Every word stacks on my chest, heavy and stupid and unreal. The girl looks between us, clutching the blanket with white knuckles. I swear, he told me you were into this already. Her voice shakes, but there is anger under it, not just guilt. I feel all three of us stuck in one huge, ugly lie. In that moment I am weirdly calm, almost too calm. I notice my hand still on the door, nails pressing hard. My legs tremble so badly I think I might actually drop. Inside though, something quiet and solid clicks into place. I did not agree to this, not any part of this. My words land heavy in the room, sharper than I feel inside. He opens his mouth again, ready with more twisted logic and spin. I raise my hand once and he actually stops mid-sentence. Looking back now, this was the exact second the oldest died. Not when I saw them, not when she screamed, but right here. He still believed he could fix this with the right speech. I was already watching him like a stranger I did not trust. I wish I could say I walked out right then. That would make me sound strong, clean-cut, the perfect victim. Instead, I stayed in that doorway, shaking and listening to excuses. Because I had no idea his explanation would somehow feel worse. I back away from the room like the floor burns. My hand drags along the wall until I reach air. He calls my name behind me, voice rough and urgent. I keep moving, afraid if I stop I might explode. The other woman slips past me, clutching her clothes and shoes. She mutters a quick apology, then disappears straight out the door. I hear it slam and the place suddenly feels different. Now it is just us and the echo of earlier sounds. I drop into a chair without meaning to, legs weak and buzzing. He stops a few feet away like he is approaching a stranger. His hands hover over the opposite chair, then he sits slowly. For a beat, we just stare across the table like opponents. He inhales once, shoulders lifting like he is about to pitch something. It was meant to be fun for you, like a fantasy night. I blink at him because those words do not match the scene. He keeps talking anyway, words tumbling out faster than my thoughts. You always said you were curious, so I thought As would thrill you. He leans forward, elbows near the table edge, eyes bright with panic. I do remember one joking comment once, tossed out after some movie. That tiny memory twists now, stretched way past anything I meant. Curious is not permission, and it definitely is not a green light. My voice drops low, rough, like it scraped over broken glass. He flinches at my tone more than at any particular word. For once he seems to hear how bad this actually sounds. You were supposed to come in, and we would welcome you together. He gestures toward the empty hallway like she might magically walk back. It was all planned, he insists, like he built some romantic surprise. My stomach tightens because I know exactly who was actually welcomed. Thinking about it today, this whole speech should have been my exit cue. At that table, though, I clung to logic like a lifeline. If I understood his reasoning, maybe I could measure how wrong it was. That was my mistake, treating his excuses like they deserved analysis. He starts mixing words like open, adventurous, trusting like they excuse everything. I listen while my nails press crescent marks into my own palms. He talks about pushing boundaries, about us needing to shake things up. All I see is that bed and the way she looked at me. When exactly were you planning to mention this, before or after it happened? He hesitates for the first time, eyes sliding slightly toward the hallway. Right now, he answers, like that solves the timing problem completely. I almost laugh because the arrogance in that sentence actually stings. Did you tell her I never agreed, or did you improvise that part? He rushes to assure me he mentioned my supposed interest in detail. He throws in that he wanted to impress me to prove he listens. It lands wrong because nothing about this feels like anyone listened. I picture getting up, grabbing my bag, walking straight out into the street. The image hangs there sharp and clean, like an emergency exit glowing. Instead, I stay put, boots planted, because part of me needs every detail. I want the full script, so later I cannot pretend I misunderstood. Back then, his version sounded wild enough that I doubted myself. Now, writing all this out, I can hear every manipulative twist clearly. He tried to sell betrayal as intimacy, and for a minute I almost bought it. Almost, but not quite, because something under his charm kept scratching at me. I wait until he walks into the bathroom and turns on the water. The second the door clicks, I grab his phone off the counter. My fingers move ahead of any moral debate like they are on autopilot. I already know if I hesitate now, I will chicken out. The screen wakes up under my thumb, wrong muscle memory from my own. I punch in the code I have watched him use 1,000 casual times. For a moment I just stare at the home screen, heart hammering in my throat. Then I open his messages because that is where people bury things. At first it is boring, group chats and one-word replies and memes. I scroll without really reading, just flicking past names I recognize. Then her contact photo pops up and my thumb stops dead on it. He never mentioned her name out loud, but my body knows anyway. I tap the thread and the latest line is still there glowing. Tell me when she leaves, I want you all to myself first. My chest tightens so hard I almost drop the phone on the floor. Whatever story he spun at the table just snapped in half. I scroll up slower now, forcing myself to actually take in the lines. They start way earlier than I expected, weeks not days or hours. Jokes, inside references, times and dates, and winking emojis all carefully stacked. Nothing about one special night for me, everything about sneaking around me. There it is, the first time he mentions me directly in that thread. She cool with this, I do not want drama, she writes. He replies before she finishes, the bubble pops up almost instantly. She is boring lately, this will wake her up, trust me. I read that sentence 3 times, each time hoping the words rearrange. They do not, obviously, they sit there like a punch straight to the jaw. I taste metal in my mouth, though there is nothing there really. So that is what I am now, background noise in my own life. Anger pushes past the shock and steadies my grip on the phone. I scroll higher, looking for the moment this plan actually formed. There are screenshots of our schedule, jokes about my work hours and habits. He mapped out my absence like he was planning a delivery window. Come over early, we will have some time before she gets back. That line warms my face with this weird mix of rage and humiliation. There was never a surprise for me, there was a window for him. He wanted both, just not in any way that respected my vote. I flip back to the top and hit the search bar inside messages. My own name pulls up every instance he mentioned me to her. Half of them are complaints, the other half are logistics and timing. Nothing sounds like affection, it all sounds like a problem to solve. My hands shake, but I keep digging because stopping now feels worse. I open photos, then shared media, then little videos tucked in the chat. There are clips from earlier, angles that match the bed I walked in on. He must have set up his phone before I even got home. That detail actually makes me laugh, this short, sharp sound that chills me. He staged his big performance, down to the camera view and timing. In his version, I guess I was supposed to just step and clap. Instead, I am here rewinding his performance like crime scene footage. Thinking back now, this was the point where my trust finally cracked. Not when I saw them, not when he begged for a chance. Reading his words about me in that chat sliced through the fog. He had edited me into the villain to make room for his fantasy. The bathroom door opens, a little steam drifting out around the frame. "You okay out there?" he calls, voice trying to sound casual and light. I slam the phone face down on the table and swallow my heartbeat. Yeah, I answer, and it comes out strange, too smooth for what I know. He steps into the doorway, rubbing a towel through his hair, watching me. "You look freaked," he says, then spots his phone near my elbow. For a second, his whole face changes, quick, like a mask slipping sideways. He recovers fast, but I saw it and he knows I did. I tap the screen with one finger, bring up that ugly line about me. "She is boring lately, this will wake her up, trust me." I turn the display toward him and hold his gaze, not even blinking. "Explain this," when I say, and my voice sounds steady, almost calm. He reaches for another excuse, I watch it form before he speaks. "Joke," he starts, but even he hears how weak that lands. I am just hyping it up, trying to make it less weird. My tongue curls at that, because there is nothing casual in those texts. I flip the phone back and close the screen with a sharp tap. Whatever he says now will just be more spin, and I am done grading it. The proof is not just the cheating, it is the way he rewrote me. Once someone edits your character that far, it is hard to step back in. I open his contacts and stare at her number sitting there plain. My thumb hovers over the message icon, hovering between fury and fear. Part of me wants to leave her out of this mess entirely. Another part needs to know what version of me he sold her. I start typing before I decide what I actually want from her. "Hi, this is his girlfriend, the one who supposedly agreed to tonight." I pause at that word, watching it blink at me from the screen. Then I add, "I think we should talk," and hit send before I lose my nerve. Her reply hits my screen before I lift my thumb. "Where are you? Can we meet somewhere public?" My pulse jumps at that last word, like she already expects trouble. "Sure," I type, then suggest a coffee place 10 minutes away. I grab my keys again and head straight for the door. He calls my name from the hallway, towel still around his waist. "Where are you going?" he asks, voice tighter than before. "Out," I answer and shut the door hard enough to make him swear. The drive feels both fast and slow, like my brain runs on delay. I keep replaying her earlier panic, that one line about drama. By the time I pull into the lot, my hands feel numb. I sit there for a moment, staring at my own reflection and breathing. She is already inside when I walk through the entrance. Hair damp, jacket half zipped, eyes scanning the room like she might bolt. When our eyes meet, we both hesitate, then she gives a tiny nod. We end up across from each other at a small table, awkward and stiff. Up close, she looks younger than I thought back in the doorway. Her knee bounces under the table, fingers worrying the edge of a napkin. "So you are real," she says, and her voice comes out tired. That hits harder than anything else, because of course I am real. I pull his phone from my bag and place it between us. I unlocked it, I admit, because honesty feels like the only currency left. Her mouth twists, not at me, more at the whole situation between us. "Good," she says, then adds, "He lies a lot when he talks." We both stare at the black screen like it might explode. Then I wake it up and open the thread with their messages. I scroll to the part where my name appears and tilt it toward her. "So this is what he told you about me," I say, words sharp and steady. Her eyes move quickly over the lines, one after another in silence. I watch her face drop when she reaches the worst sentence. "That is not how he explained it to me," she mutters, shoulders sagging. She taps the screen, backing up to an older part of the conversation. He told me you two were basically done, she says, jaw tight now. Living together for money, but not actually together, that was his story. He said you wanted to try TH. Is before you officially ended things. Every sentence adds a fresh layer of insult I did not know existed. He mentioned a boundary once, but it sounded like you already said it. Her eyes shine with anger and something close to embarrassment. He kept saying she is the one who suggested it, remember. Hearing that, I feel like I am listening to a podcast about someone else. I open my own texts with him and hand her my phone. Scroll, I tell her if you can handle more disappointment tonight. She goes through weeks of normal updates, memes, random check-ins, nothing wild. Her brow pulls together because there is no trace of any shared plan. He never showed you any of this, she asks, lifting his phone again. Not once, I answer, and that truth lands between us like a rock. For a second we just sit there, both chewing on different flavors of humiliation. It is weird how fast two strangers can become allies under pressure. She flips to her own messages with him on her device. Do you want to see what he promised me? She asks quietly. My stomach protests, but I nod because turning away now feels wrong. She angles the screen so I can read without leaning too close. There are conversations about weekend trips, dinners, maybe even moving in together later. He painted himself as a guy trapped with someone controlling and cold. I see my own life reduced to 3 lines of complaint. Lazy, distant, never wants to try anything fun, his text reads. I actually laugh, this short harsh sound that makes her jump. Sorry, I say, it is just so far from the person I am. She shakes her head, eyes on the message like it might change. He told me you canceled on him constantly, like you barely showed up. In that moment, I am weirdly more offended by that than the cheating. Cheating is awful, sure, but at least it is one nameable thing. This part is character assassination, rewriting my habits from the ground up. He needed me to look awful so he could look exciting. Do you still want him? I ask her, the question heavy in my throat. She jerks back a little like she just touched something scorching. No, she says, way too fast to be anything but real. Then she adds, I just did not want to be the villain here. You are not, I tell her, and I actually mean it. It stings, but the anger keeps landing back on the same target. You did not owe me loyalty, he did, I say, fingers tightening around my cup. Her shoulders drop a fraction like I pulled weight off her chest. We start trading screenshots like two people building a case file. I forward the birthday excuse he used earlier, the one about surprises. She sends me one where he jokes about timing things between my shifts. Each new image makes the earlier scene in my bedroom look more staged. Did he mention filming anything to you? I ask, voice rougher now. She nods once, cheeks flushing with a mix of anger and shame. He wanted proof it actually happened, in case you backed out last minute. Hearing that, I feel something inside me go very still and cold. Looking back now, this whole meeting was the real turning point. Hearing his lies from her mouth cut through the last bit of fog. It was not an impulse mistake or some drunken lapse in judgment. It was a project for him with a start date and goals. What are you going to do? She asks, eyes fixed on my face. I picture our apartment, his things stacked all over our shared space. Then I see him walking through that front door later, clueless and hopeful. For once the answer feels simple, even if the fallout does not. I am going to confront him with you there, I say slowly. Her eyebrows shoot up, like I just suggested robbing a bank together. If he used both of us, he can face both of us at once. I want him to watch his stories collide in the same room. She studies me for a long beat, then nods once. Okay, she says, but only if we leave together afterward. That detail matters to me more than I expected in that moment. It means neither of us plans to stay and patch his fantasy. We stand up in sync, gathering our stuff without much small talk. Outside, the air hits my face, sharp enough to clear my thoughts. We walk toward our cars side by side, two strangers linked by damage. I unlock mine and glance over at her, already turning toward the road back to him. His keys rattled in the lock while we waited on the couch. She sat stiff beside me, arms folded tight across her chest. My pulse thudded loud in my ears, almost drowning out the metal scrape. I did not move, I wanted him to walk straight into this. The door swung open and he stepped in with an automatic grin. Honey, I grabbed food, he started, then froze halfway through the word. His eyes landed on me, then on her, then on our faces. The smile dropped so fast it almost looked painful on his jaw. "What is this?" he asked, voice going low in the quiet room. He took a step forward and I raised my hand like a stop sign. "Do not move closer," I told Hai. And my own steadiness surprised me. He halted there, barefoot on the rug like a kid caught in a lie. She reached into her bag and laid her phone on the table. "You said you wanted no drama, remember?" Her tone came out sharp and flat. He blinked at her, then at the screen, already bracing for impact. I slid his phone beside hers, two black rectangles like evidence between us. I tapped his screen once and brought up the thread with all their plans. "You told her we were basically over," I said, my words clipped. "Just roommates, just logistics, just waiting to officially break up," your words. Each phrase landed heavier than the last, stacking right there between us. He dragged a hand over his face, buying time, searching for the angle. "You and I were struggling," he started, trying for soft and reasonable. "I never knew how to bring it up without hurting you more." My fingers curled into my palms so I would not laugh in his face. "Struggling is not the same thing as single," I cut in. "You did not forget to mention that detail, you chose to erase it." He opened his mouth, but she leaned forward before he could spin again. "You also told me she begged for that scene today, remember that part?" His head snapped toward her, eyes wide like she had betrayed some secret. "I never said begged," he shot back, a little too fast to trust. He shifted weight from one foot to the other, restless, boxed in. "That was just talk to keep things from feeling awkward," his shoulders jerked. "So which version is it?" I asked, my voice oddly calm and cool. "I'm a cold girlfriend who planned a threesome, or your checked-out ex. Because both cannot be true at the same time, not even for you." He stared at the floor like the answer might be written there in dust. He tried again, voice softer, leaning on nostalgia I no longer felt. "I wanted to give you something wild, something you would never forget. We have been stuck, you know that. I was trying to shake us loose." "You went through my phone instead of talking," his eyes flicked up accusing. That line almost worked on the older version of me, I can admit. The me sitting there, though, had just watched him rewrite my entire personality. Going through your phone was the only reason I got the real story. Without that, I would still be standing in that doorway thinking I caused it. She let out a low, humorless laugh that made him flinch. "You did not mention filming to her either," she said, gaze locked on him. "You told me the video was for you too, to remember your big night." Her hand trembled slightly when she spoke, but her words were clear and steady. His eyes darted between us, calculating, every muscle tight with effort. "I was never going to post anything," he said, the words rushed together. "It would have been private, just us, just personal, nothing shady." My stomach turned because he still thought the breach was about privacy settings. "You planned it all down to the minute," I reminded him, watching his jaw. "Telling her to come early so you could be alone first, remember that line?" He opened his mouth, then shut it again when he saw I had the screenshot ready. His shoulders slumped just a little, the first real crack in his act. I could feel us shifting, me and her on one side now. He stood there on the other, the center of his own broken story. "Do you care about either of us as people?" I asked, voice low. "Or were we just props in whatever you wanted to feel this month?" His temper flashed then, quick and hot, breaking through the pleading tone. "You always twist everything," he snapped, pointing toward me like that proved something. "I tried to keep our relationship alive, you checked out, you shut down." He let the words fly like he had been storing them for months. There it was, the familiar blame, the script he always held ready. "You want to talk about checking out?" I asked, leaning forward on my knees. "You created a whole new personality for me in those messages with her. Lazy, uninterested, cold, apparently that is who I am in your head now." He frowned, confusion crossing his face like he did not recognize his own lines. "I was venting," he muttered, "people complain, it does not mean anything serious." I stared at him because that answer was somehow worse than silence. If tearing me down means nothing, then what does loving me even mean? She pushed her chair back and stood, hands braced on the table edge. "Whatever this is between you two," she said, "I am done being part of it." She fished his spare key from her pocket and dropped it beside his phone. The tiny clink sounded louder than any shout, and he actually flinched again. He turned toward her, reaching out, eyes wide with sudden panic. "We had something real," he started, voice breaking at the edges, face pleading. She stepped out of reach, shoulders squared, lip trembling but held firm. "You lied to both of us," she answered, "I am not special in that." He swung back to me then, realizing he was low-C. NG ground on all sides. We can fix this, he said, shifting to soft again, hands open. We can set rules, talk it through, figure out what went wrong. Give me one more chance to prove that I actually love you. This is the part where I usually cracked before, if I am honest. Every other argument ended with me bending just enough for him to slip through. Sitting there now with her key on the table and two phones glowing, I felt different. Something inside me had already stepped away from him and was not coming back. I stood up, slow, joints stiff, like I had aged years in hours. You do not live here anymore, I told him, each word clear and deliberate. You can pack a bag tonight, the rest we will schedule later with someone present. His face emptied out, like the meaning hit all at once, not in pieces. You are really throwing us away over one mistake, he asked, voice climbing higher. He took a step toward me, then another, hands reaching, eyes bright and wet. I moved back around the table, keeping it between us like a fence. This was not one mistake, I answered, and watched the fight drain from his shoulders. He tried a new angle, softer, desperate, almost whispering under his breath. I messed up, I know that, but we have history, we have time together. Think about the good days, the trips, the plans we made, his chest heaved. He kept stacking memories like bricks, hoping a future might magically sit on top. The worst part is, a tiny part of me did remember those days. I saw flashes of small moments that used to mean safety and comfort. Then I looked at the phones again, and those images warped instantly. Once someone rebrands you as a burden behind your back, the old scenes do not glow. I walked to the bedroom doorway and pointed without stepping inside. Pack what you need for a week, I said, everything else we will sort later. He stared at me like he did not recognize the person giving orders. Maybe he really did not, because I did not fully recognize myself either yet. He brushed past us and disappeared into the room, drawers thudding open and shut. Every sound from down the hall made my chest tighten and my jaw clench. She moved closer to me, not touching, but close enough that I felt anchored. We stood in that small space like a line he no longer got to cross. When he came back out, bag slung over his shoulder, his eyes were red. He stopped in front of me, waiting, maybe hoping for a last-minute reversal. I kept my hands at my sides, fingers digging into my own skin. Take your phones, I told him, and do not contact either of us tonight. He grabbed his things in a rush, then hesitated again at the doorway. I hope you regret this, he said quietly, like a curse and a blessing at once. Maybe you will realize you overreacted. Maybe you will remember I am worth fighting for. I did not answer. Silence felt cleaner than any final speech could. The door shut behind him and the apartment snapped into a new shape. No keys, no footsteps, no familiar rhythm, just this raw, ringing emptiness. She let out a breath I had not realized she had been holding. I finally exhaled too, and for the first time that day he was on the outside. My phone lit up on the mattress before dawn and buzzed again. His name filled the screen, then vanished, then reappeared with another call. I lay on my back in the dark, watching it pulse. On the fourth try, I flipped it over and let it hum. The new room still smelled like other people's lives, not mine yet. Boxes lined the wall half open, clothes spilling out like I had run. Honestly, I moved out in 2 frantic days. Now the silence felt heavy and strange, but at least it was mine. The vibration stopped for a few minutes, then a text banner popped up. Please pick up, I am outside, I just want to talk. I sat up fast, heart thudding, bare feet pressed flat to the floor. My stomach turned at the idea of him anywhere near this place. I crept to the window and lifted the edge of the blind. The parking lot below looked calm, nothing out of place or dramatic. He either lied about being there or already gave up and left. That little uncertainty made my chest tighten, but also pushed me toward action. I opened our message thread and scrolled through the fresh wall of apologies. Paragraph after paragraph about love and history and making one stupid choice. Not one line mentioned the weeks of quiet scheming on his phone. I held my thumb over the contact info, then tapped block before I could stall. I wish I could say blocking him made everything peaceful right away. Truth is, my body still jumped at every unknown number after that. He tried new accounts online, random emails, even a fake name once. Each time I slammed the door on it faster, a little surer of myself. A few days later, she texted to ask if I was breathing. Her name popping up felt oddly comforting, like a witness to my reality. We met again at the same coffee place out of pure stew. Be bornness. If he ruined that spot, I decided he would not get the last word. You look exhausted, she said, stirring her drink without really drinking it. I let out this half laugh, half groan that made nearby heads turn. I feel like my whole life got flipped and dumped out, I admitted. Saying it out loud made my throat burn, but also loosened something. She pulled a folded hoodie from her bag and set it near me. He left this in my car, figured you might want to burn it. I stared at it for a beat, the fabric heavy with old weekends. Then I stuffed it into my own bag, not ready for fire yet but close. Do you regret confronting him together? She asked, eyes searching my face. Part of me wanted to say yes to sound above it all. Honestly, I answered, I regret trusting him, not standing beside you. That landed between us like a tiny truce, quiet and solid and real. When I think back on that night now, my own choices look messy. I snooped, plotted, coordinated a whole showdown in our living room. It was not graceful, it was not noble, it was survival. I am not proud of every move, but I am proud I finally moved. Leaving the shared place turned out harder than the actual breakup moment. Closing drawers, sorting our stuff, deciding what counted as mine or his. Every object carried a memory I did not fully trust anymore. I packed anyway, tossing things into boxes before nostalgia could rewrite anything. My friend drove over with a truck and music turned up too loud. He did not ask many questions, just carried heavy things without commentary. At one point he looked at me and raised an eyebrow, nothing more. That tiny bit of non-judgmental help carried me through the last trip downstairs. Signing the new lease felt strangely like signing out of my old self. The landlord slid the paper over, pen waiting near the bottom line. My hand shook just enough to make the signature look unfamiliar. Seeing that crooked name there still felt better than any romantic promise. For a while my nights turned into weird highlight reels from the relationship. Moments where I shrugged off jokes that cut a little too deep. Times he changed plans on me at the last minute, always with charm. Little clips that once seemed normal now felt like early warnings I ignored. I caught myself drafting unsent messages to him more than once. Things like "you hurt me but I miss you," which disgusted me. I would stare at the words, fingers hovering over send, breath held. Then I would picture that bedroom again and hit delete every time. One afternoon, a mutual friend showed up at my door with groceries. He told me my ex was telling people I overreacted and lost it. That I went nuclear over a kink conversation that got out of hand. I laughed, then realized I was actually shaking, like my body remembered. I opened my laptop that night with a new kind of anger. Not screaming anger, more like a sharp, clear edge inside my chest. I typed throwaway into the username box and stared at the blinking cursor. Then I started writing the title you already know by now. I just came home to my boyfriend going to town on another girl. He called it a surprise gone wrong, I wrote, and my hands trembled. Laying it out for strangers felt ridiculous and necessary at the same time. Every detail on the screen made it all feel less like a fever dream. As I wrote, I kept catching my own bias in the narration. Little spots where I wanted to make myself look smarter or stronger. I forced myself to leave in the parts where I hesitated and doubted. The hesitation is part of the story, even if I hate that version of me. The comments started rolling in faster than I expected once I posted. Some people were furious on my behalf, some picked at tiny details. A few called me petty for teaming up with her at the apartment. Weirdly, even the harsh takes made me feel less lonely in it. Reading all those reactions made something click that had not before. I had spent so long trying to understand his logic from every angle. I forgot that my own experience was enough evidence all by itself. I did not need a jury to declare him guilty to move on. I still get random waves of missing him sometimes, which annoys me deeply. You do not turn off years of habit just because you grow a spine. Now though, when my brain starts replaying the sweet scenes, I answer back. I remind myself those moments belong to a person who did not exist anymore. Lying here tonight in this half-unpacked room, the silence feels different. Before, silence was the space where I waited for his next move. Now it is the space where I hear my own thoughts without spin. They are messy and scared and occasionally mean, but at least they are mine. So that is where I am as I finish this chapter of my life. Not healed, not perfect, not handing out inspirational quotes to anyone. Just a woman who walked in on a nightmare and still walked back out. For now that is enough, and Tomer. Row, I get to decide the rest.